Hello, so creative, it's Faustina here. Welcome to another interesting tutorial. Today's tutorial we are going to be sewing this trending halter neck gown that you are seeing on the screen, and it's also a bodycon dress with a stylish and sexy back opening. Like the hem part is slanted. Everything about this gown is intentionally well detailed, and if it's something that you would like to replicate for yourself for this Valentine that is coming up very soon, grab your popcorn and also grab your seat and sit down and learn how to cut and put our pussies together. This particular project will take you not less than 1 hour or some minutes. It's a freehand cutting. We don't need any pattern to cut it. We cut it directly on the fabric, and we also went ahead to join all our cut out pieces together. So grab your seat and let's dive into our cutting table. Like, I'm so obsessed with this guy. He's giving me everything I wanted. I have a cloth to na man remain. Like I said earlier, we are making use of 1.5 yard of velvet material, so you can get red if you want to sew it for your Valentine. We start off by folding our fabric into two. We are going to start cutting the down part. I'm going to go ahead and mark out my starting line to indicate my starting line in order for my starting line to be in a straight form. After getting my starting line, I'm going to minus my shoulder to my waistline, which is the upper part from the down part, and I'm going ahead to complete the length of my gown. In order to get the length of your gown, you are going to mark out the longest part of your gown, after which you are going to go ahead and slant it. But we are going to mark out the longest part of our gown. So I mark it into several places. I'm going to go ahead and rule it out to get a straight line. So from that my waist, I'm going to mark out my waist to my hip line, which is 9 inches. You can go ahead and measure yours. Yours must not be 9 inches. Every person's hip line differs. So from your waist, you measure the fuller part of your hip. That is what your hip line is. So from my hip line, I'm going to come down by 10 inch in order to get my knee line. So I went ahead and mark it into several places, and after which I went ahead to rule it in order to get a straight line. And that is it: waist, hip, knee, and the length of our gown. After getting the vertical lines, we start off by adding the horizontal lines, which are the circumference of our body. And this material is so stretchy, so what we are going to do is minus 2 inches from our initial body circumferences in order to get that perfect bodycon fitting. So that is to say, my hip was 40, but I went ahead to minus 2 inches, making it 38. So I divided that 38 into 4 inches, and that was what I imputed on the hip line. You also do the same procedure on the waistline. So for the knee line, what you are basically going to do is minus 1.5 from what we have on the hip line, like so, in order to get a pencil hemline. So I wanted the hemline to be so pencil, like from my hip to my hemline to be pencil. So this is how you go about penciling your beautiful gown or skirt. You minus 1.5 from your hip line. So that is to say, if your hip line is 9.5, you minus 1.5, what you are going to add on the knee line is 8 inches. So that is basically what I did. After marking out all our body circumference, I went ahead to mark out the sewing allowance, which we are going to use to join our beautiful gown. And that is it. I added 1.5 on the hip line, waist, and knee, and the length of our gown. So I went ahead to join it like so. And that is it for the front. I went ahead to cut it, and we are going to use this particular pattern also to cut out the back, because we did not add any zipper at the back part. Cutting of this cloth is so simple and beginner friendly. Even though you don't have prior knowledge of how to cut and sew your clothes together, by just watching this video, you can go ahead and sew this beautiful gown for yourself. Once you can match machine and make a straight stitch, you can go ahead and buy that fabric and sew that Valentine gown for yourself. So I'm going ahead to cut out the waist. After cutting out the waist, we are done with the front part. I'm going to go ahead and fold another fabric, and we are going to go ahead and place the front part on top of it, well arranged. Make sure you arrange your pattern very well before you start cutting. So I'm basically trying to arrange the front one very well so that I can go ahead and cut. So after arranging it, I went ahead to start cutting, and we are going to cut exactly what we had for the front. We are not adding anything. We did not add anything by the side. We did not add anything by the hem, either did we add anything on the waistline. So I'm basically going to go ahead and cut it out. So after cutting this particular down part, we are going to move over to cutting of the upper part and also joining of our beautiful sexy halter neck gown. So that is it for this particular project. And after cutting it, I went ahead to notch the tutu center, and I'm going to start open it up in order to cut out the slanty hem part. In order to achieve that slanted hem part, the right side of your front of the down part and the right side of the back are going to face each other like so. So make sure that the right side of the fabric are facing each other, not the right side and the wrong side. You are going to spoil the cut out fabric. So make sure that the right side are facing each other like so. So after you must have arranged it like this, you are going to now decide which part you want to belong. If it's the left part or the right part, you now decide which part you want to belong and which part you want it to be short. So after making that decision, from the hem part, I'm going to go up by 6 inches. You can go up by 7, 8, 9, 10, depending on how short you want yours to be. So I went up by 6 inches, and I'm going to use my pattern curve to slant it all the way to the other end of our beautiful gown line. So you can see how my hand is directing it. So should in case you don't have pattern curve, you can also make use of your ruler or even your free hand if you can slant it with your free hand. So this is me slanting it to go and meet the other end of our beautiful gown like so, to give it that slanty effect. So after slanting it, I'm going to go ahead and cut it, and the down part is ready. We will now start drafting the upper part. So that is it for the down part. We did not add any dart intake on the down part. So remember, we did not add any dart intake. So we are basically not going to sew any dart. For the front, I've gone ahead to fold our fabric into 2, and I'm going to go ahead and mark out our starting line. So remember, it's an off-shoulder gown. So what we are going to do in order to achieve our off-shoulder, I'm going to minus 7 inches from our shoulder to our waist measurement. So I'm basically going to remove 7 inches from it in order to get the off shoulder effect. So after minusing the 7 inches, I went ahead to mark out 17 plus 1 inch for the sewing allowance, which is in total we have 18 inches. So I went ahead to mark it out like so. So after marking it out, on that our starting line, we will start marking out our bust measurement. I went ahead to input my bust divide by 4 plus 1.5 sewing allowance. Remember, we minus 2 inches from all our body circumference, so we also went ahead to minus 2 inches from our initial bust circumferences. So on the waist, I imputed my waist divide by 4. After minusing the 2 inches, I also went ahead to add 1 inch dart intake and also sewing allowance of 1.5 inches, which I rule it all the way to the bust line. So after cutting it out, I'm going to go ahead and input my nipple to nipple measurement divide by 2, which is 7 divided by 2 gave me 3.5. And I also went ahead to open up my dart leg by half inch. Remember, I added 1 inch dart intake. I went ahead to notch it. After notching it, I'm going to go ahead and after cutting out this front, we are going to use this same pattern to cut out the back. Reason is because we did not add zip, and the reason is because the fabric is so stretched. So either you add zip or not, it's going to enter you so perfectly well. So I went ahead to bring another fabric and I placed the front on top of it, and I'm going to cut out the exact thing I cut out for the front. And after cutting it, I'm going to go ahead and separate the front from the back so that we start working for the back. The back has a little bit of curve, like the back is so open. So after notching the dart and also the center, I went ahead to separate the front from the back so that we start opening the back opening, which is the U curve. So this is how I was able to achieve that U curve opening at the back. From the starting line, I came down by 6 inches and I implemented my bust divided by 4 measurement, and from that my bust divided by 4 measurement, I gave it that U curve at that back, and this is how I was able to achieve it. So I'm going to basically go ahead and cut it out, and that is it. All our patterns are ready. We start sewing them. So when you open it up, this is how it's going to look like. So we are moving over to our sewing machine to go and hold the dart. This is how you hold the dart for the back. You're going to hold it all from the waist to the curve, while for the front you are going to from the waist to 5 inches. So let's go and hold it and come and show you. So I basically gone ahead and sewed the dart, and this is the outcome. You see how it's looking so pretty. So what we are going to do now is to cut out the facing that we are going to use to turn this back U that we have, and I'm going to go ahead and cut out the facing. So look at how I'm cutting out the facing so that you know how to cut out yours. So after folding your back right to its original form, you fold your pieces of fabric and place it on top of your pieces of fabric. Like your back, you place it on top of your pieces of fabric like so, and you are going to go ahead and trace out the U from that pieces of fabric. So after you must have arranged your fabric, you are going to go ahead and start cutting out the U. So after tracing out the U, you are going to remove the back, and I'm going to start marking out 1.5 all around the U like so. So this is how you go about cutting out your facings. So after marking out 1.5 inches all around the U, I went ahead to cut it, and that is it for the facing of our back U. So I'm basically going to bring him back there. So I'm heading over to my sewing machine to go and run a stitch of 0.25 on that facing. The right side of the U is facing the right side of our fabric. So I've gone ahead to run a stitch. You can see I'm going to go and notch it. After notching it, I went ahead to trim out the excesses. So this is how you easing up the U, and after which we are going to trim it out like so, and that is basically how you're going to go ahead and run all other places. So I'm going to go ahead and use this my hemming gum to hem the facing to the right side of our beautiful gown. So this is how you place your hemming gun in between the facing and your main fabric, and after which you are going to give it a good press, and that is it for the back and the U. So we are going to go ahead and join the down part of the back to the upper part like so. From the waistline we are going to join them. After marking as the middle point, we are going to place that two middle points together, use our pin to hold it down and go and join it. And we are also going to do the same thing to the front part. I'm also going to join the skirt part to the upper part like so, after placing the two middle parts together, and I'm going to sew from 1 inch by half an inch to the other inch. So let me quickly move over to my sewing machine and go and sew it and come and show you. So we have gone ahead to sew it, and this is the outcome. We will start working on the halter neck effect. So this is how you calculate your halter neck effect. Remember, we minus 7 inches in order to achieve our off shoulder. So that's 7 inches. We are going to do 7 inches plus 7 inches will give us 14 inches. And you are going to measure around the back of your neck. So this is how the halter neck is going to be. It's going to be like a U from one end to another end, all the way to the back of your round neck. So you are going to basically measure back of your neck, and you are going to have up to 6 to 7 depending on how broad your neck is. So mine was 6, so I'm going to add that 6 to that 14 inches, making it 20 inches. We are meant to add 1 inch or half inch sewing allowance to this 20 inches, but because the fabric is already stretchy, I did not add any sewing allowance. I went ahead to cut out the 20 inches like that. So the width of the rope will determine on how wide you want yours to be. So I wanted mine to be 2 inches. After sewing, I will be left with 1.5. So I went ahead to match 2 inches into several places in order to get a straight line, while the length is 20 inches like we measured from the calculation. From the measurement we got from the calculation we just concluded rather. So after cutting it out, I made it over to my sewing machine to go and sew half an inch on this other end before I turn it to the right side. So this place that my hand is moving, that is the place I have sewn half an inch, and I'm going to turn it to the right side so that we will start sewing it to our beautiful halter neck gown. So this is how the rope will be looking, and that is it. I've gone ahead to notch the center of our gown. So from the center, I'm going to input my nipple to nipple measurement divide by 2 plus half. My nipple to nipple measurement is 7 divided by 2 is 3.5 plus half inch, which is 4. So I went ahead from the center, mark out 4 on this other side and 4 on that other side. So we are going to start placing this halter neck from that 4 inches. You can see what I did there. So from that 4 inches I place it, and we are going to go ahead and sew by half an inch on our sewing machine, and that is it for the halter neck. I'm quickly going to move it over to my sewing machine and go and sew it. So I've gone ahead to sew it, and also gone ahead to cut out a long stripe of fabric we are going to use to do facing for this front part. So I'm going to use this facing to turn it to the right side and close up what we just did there. So let me quickly move over to my sewing machine and go and sew the facing. I also use a hemming gun to hold it down. So I've gone ahead to sew the facing and also cut out the excess we have by the side, and that is it. We are going to start closing it by the side. So for the back, I'm going to place the back facing the right side of the front, and I'm going to use my pin to pin it down or arrange it. Make sure you arrange your fabric so well. You know that this fabric is so slippery, so make sure you arrange your fabric so well. So after arranging the fabric, we start marking out all our body circumferences. So from one end, I'm going to add my bust divide by 4, and the remaining allowances we are going to divide it into 2. So this is how you close up your gown or any of your body circumferences. We are going to divide what we have there by 2, and we're also going to do the same thing on our waistline. From one end, I'm going to input my waist divide by 2. It's no longer your waist divide by 4, rather it's now your waist divide by 2. The remaining allowance, you divide it into 2 equal halves and you share it on both sides. So for the hip line, from my waist I came down by 9 inches like we did while drafting our basic body. So from that hip, I'm going to mark out my hip divide by 2. The remaining allowance, I'm dividing it by 2 equal halves, and I'm going to join it all the way to the hem part, and I'm basically going to go ahead and run a stitch there. But before we run a stitch, I'm going to go ahead and hem my hemming allowance of 1 inch on the down part like so. So after hemming it, I'm basically going to go and run the side stitches. I've gone ahead to run it, and this is how you complete the measurement, your body measurement. So from the stitch that you have run, you are going to now place your tape from that stitch and now complete your body measurement, which is your bust divided by 2. You are going to go ahead and mark it, and your waist divided by 2, you mark what you have. You are not going to divide any allowances again. So on the hip part, you're also going to come down by 9 inch and also come down by 9 inch, and from the stitch that you run, you're going to complete your hip divide by 2, and you're going to mark it out and also join it all the way to the hem part. Also make sure that your hip is not that too pointy, or make it not to be pointy, but rather blend that curviness. So for adding of that extra stripe that we added at the back, so this is how I was able to achieve it after sewing a long stripe that looks like a rope. So I went ahead to join it at the allowances for the back like so, and that is it. So if you have watched to this point, thanks for watching. And if you are going to replicate this beautiful gown for your Valentine, while replicating it, also tag me. My name is Tina Design on Instagram, so you can tag me using my Instagram handle. And that is it for this gown. You can use your red velvet color to replicate it. Bye bye, see you in my next one.